last class, I will begin from the last class, but with working example. I said that whenever we collect data, we try to infer some meaning, and for that we organize the data, we do some analysis of the data, and we try to present the numerical descriptors of the data. I will have to go back and forth because when I am seeing my Excel sheet, I am not able to see the Google Meet. This is one problem. I have minimized, let me try. So, raw data, suppose I conducted a test on 50 students and the total score was 50. Then I am using the Excel formula to create the scores. So you can use, this will also be a learning for you. You can use the function rand between. Rand between means it will return a number between two numbers. So you can see between bottom and top means the lowest and the highest. So any test, one can score minimum 0 and the maximum 50. Since I said that the test will be of 50 marks. Now enter. It has generated one number, but you will see when I will copy, this number will be changing. So I said 50 students. I am starting with row 3. So I will go up to row 53. So this is the 50 scores. Suppose we obtained. I am just cutting it, Control X. Now you can see that the 16 has changed to 2. I am pasting it here and then I will select values. It is not showing. The special best option. Let me do it again. Control X. Beer. Oh. It will be changing. So when we will paste the values, it will not change. Whenever I will copy, whenever I will cut and paste, it will change. So I can select here, but unfortunately I am not able to see the paste value data. Let me open another Excel sheet. Someone has joined. Data bars, tools, clear format. Oh, it will work. Control X. Don't save. Now I think it should work. Let me try copying and pasting it. Yes, it is showing the value, no, not the formula. So it is value. So this is the raw data. Now I am scrolling down and I am making it little bigger so that while sharing the screen it may be visible. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So one person scored 27, some scored 40, 37. Suppose I ask to tell something about this group of 50 students, how they perform. Can you say anything just by scrolling it? You can say something, but it will take time. For example, I am scrolling and I have seen that right now Here 46 is the highest, now 50 become the highest, now 1 is the lowest. No value will be higher than 50, only one value can be lower than 1. So after this much time, I am just able to say that yes, the data ranges between 1 to 50. So one student have scored, at least one student have scored 1, and at least one student have scored 50. So the first thing that we start in statistics, that we can organize, and organization starts with just sorting. So from smallest to largest. So now I should copy this here and forget about this. Now see, this is now organized data. Now if you will have a graph, so you can see, sir, that at least 7 students have scored less than 10 or 8 or lower. So there are some students who have scored higher than 10 but lower than 20, and their number is this much. If you will just see the first value 1 and the last value 50, you can say that yes, sir, the range of the score is 1 to 50. So the first organization, what I said, that statistics is collecting, organizing and analyzing data. So the first thing is to organize data. A better way to organize data is to put these data in subgroups. So suppose I created one subgroup 0 to 9. Okay. How many students have scored 0 to 9? And here I am writing the, using word F, this is the frequency. And this grouped data is also called class interval. So between the subgroup, so class is the subgroup of the data. So the total data is from 1 to 50, and in this there is a subgroup that we have created. We can create 0 to 5 also. So 0 to 9, and now I ask how many students. You can see that there are, this is the value row 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can say, sir, there are 8 students who have scored between 0 to 9. Then I will create next class interval 10 and 10 to 19. Let us work on this. So someone has probably joined. It will be better that you join at a time, and because of technical issue, I know that some will be leaving and joining again. It's all right. I don't have any issue. Something wrong occurred here. So 10 to 19. Similarly, the next class will be, can you imagine, any one of you, what class should be created based on these two intervals?
20 to 29.
20 to
Very
29.
good. Very good. 20 to 29. So I am stopping here. I will not do all the calculations. So let us do only 2. 0 to 9 we have counted 8. Now 10 to 19. So no one has scored 10. It doesn't matter. But there is one person 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 9 persons who have scored between 10 to 19. Let us now introduce, this is called class interval and this is called frequency. This type of class interval is called inclusive CI. And it means that when we are counting 9, or when we are counting 19, in this case, 19 is included in this class only. So the full name of this type of class interval is upper limit inclusive class interval. So whenever we put tally marks or count the raw data in subgroups, we something. So we include the upper limit, somehow it came here, upper limit in the same data. But we can create a different class interval also, for example, 0 to 10, then 10 to 20, and then 20 to 30. These basic concepts will be used, and today I will try to finish at least one computation, that is the measures of central tendency, one thing that is mean, at least. So this is 0 to 10, 10 to 20. When you will start counting, so here, whether 20 should be, you may ask, sir, should I include 20 in this class because there is 10 to 20 class interval, and this is also 20 to 30. I will say no, exclude 20 from this. So this will be called exclusive. Exclusive. And you can stop me at any point. Whenever I will hear any voice, I will stop and try to answer. Because if you will miss anything, it will be difficult to cover. So what is excluded here? The upper limit 20. We are not counting 20 in this class. Whenever we will encounter 20 like this data, we will count 20 in the next class. So there are two types of class intervals. 0 to 9, 10 to 19. There is a gap of 1. Here you can see, and this is helping us to include the upper limit also in the same subgroup. But when we are having a continuous type of class interval like 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, then we are not including, that is, we are excluding the upper limit while counting the raw data. Any question at this point? So, okay, it's fine. Now, my question is that what is the size of the class? Class, I am saying class interval, not class. So 0 to 9 is one class, 10 to 19 is one class, but there is an interval. Interval means there will be some size of the class. So my question is, what is the size of this class interval? Where I have clicked, this one. Any one of you, please, don't hesitate.
So 10.
One answer is 10, very good. Anyone other second it or have any different answer? Please don't hesitate. Let us make it as interactive as possible. Otherwise, it is as good as posting video lectures on YouTube. The purpose of online class is defeated then. But I see that 0 to 9, 9, 10 to 19, 9. To me it appears 9. Anyone is going with me? The size of the class is 9? Anyone? Even you can say no. No, I will be happy to hear that. So the one answer that has, yeah. Please. It's 10. Yeah, and it is correct. Why it is 10? Because suppose you take this 10 and now count it on finger. It includes 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So there are 10. What is the class size of this class interval then?
10.
10. So both the size of the class interval is same, and never confuse by computing class size or class size of the class interval by subtracting this. Suppose 19 minus 10, then we will arrive at 9. So just you scroll vertically. What is the difference? 0, 10, 10, 10, 20, 10, 9, 19, 10, 19, 29, 10. Now here 0, 10, 10, 10, 20, 10, 10, 20, 10, 20, 30, 10. So the size of the class, if I am assuming that there may be one student who have forgotten all the basics. Otherwise, I know that you are bright enough. And whenever it becomes too basic, please point it out. I will skip. So this is the size of the class, and generally we refer size. Let us create some symbols also. So I is equal to size of the class interval. And what is the size of the class interval in this? You have correctly answered 10. Someone has joined probably. Oh, asking to join. And it is asking me to switch back and forth. So this is size of the class interval. Now, let us stop here. I have just introduced that the first thing is that what we can do with the data to infer some meaning is to organize the data, and one simple organization is arranging the data in ascending or descending order. That will help to infer some meaning. But another way is that we can group the data also, and when the computers and other computational facilities were not available, and when the data were collected by the states, revenue, tax and other things, and computations were needed by the head of the state, then manual calculations were done, and for those manual calculations, these methods evolved for grouping data. Otherwise, it is very easy. Now, what is central tendency? The basic analysis is to present some numerical descriptor of this data that we have collected here. And now I will show two slides, the concept and meaning of central tendency. So what is central tendency? Generally, you will find in textbook that the central value in a data set is that value which represents the whole data. So, if any data value can be called representative, and what we mean by representative, that we can say if anyone, suppose I am representing India, and then one can infer that all Indians will be like me. So, if I am suggesting one data as the representative data, then it is assumed that most of the data value will be similar to that representative data. So, this central value is very much similar to the concept of center of gravity. I am just keeping this. So now you can see that this is a rectangular object. You can say that this is rectangular cardboard. And remember the high school experiment of getting the central tendency. What we used to do, that we draw a diagonal from this corner to this corner, and then one diagonal from this corner to this corner, and the intersection point is called the center of this object. And whenever we put a pin or put a pen, and then when we have actually located the center of the gravity, then we noted in our earlier days in high school and class 9th and experiment that the object used to be balanced there. So it is like there is a center of the object where the object get balanced. Similarly, there is a data value in the data set that is similar to that center. But it is not that easy to locate the center in the data. Suppose I am showing the data again, and I will scroll it gradually. Can any one of you do you know what is central value? Can you suggest what will be the central value and what should be the central value? One answer would be that sir, there are 50 data values starting from 1. So let us move to a value and here 28. This is 25 data. So sir, this value, there are 25 values lower than 28 and 25 values equal to or higher than 28. So let us assume that this is the center of the data. One answer may be this. If you are answering this way, this is a positional center. So if data is on a scale, and you can assume that this is a continuous scale starting from 1 and ending up to 50. So on this 50-point scale, this is the central value, 25th. I am starting with row 3, therefore row 28 will be the 25th value. So this type of measure is called positional measure in general, because we are locating the data position and this data position is center, and this central positional measure is called median. So we can say that median is the representative or central value. But many of the scientists and even you may object that, sir, how a median can be central value? Suppose if I change these value to 500, 500, 500, or say all are after 28, all are in 100. So, sir, most of the values, more than 50% values are in 3 digits, and you are saying that 28 is the representative value. And representative means, again, I am reiterating that it will say that yes, almost all the data will be similar to or around that data. So this will not be a good representative measure. So others suggest that, sir, that data should be considered as representative, which is occurring most of the time, most frequently occurring, which is most fashionable. And for example, in this group of 50 students, around 30 students scored 35. So I can say, yes, 35 is good representative data because 30 students, 60% have scored 35 and remaining will be close to this. So some may be having 30, some may be having 38. But again, this is objected that this may not be good measure of central tendency in some situations. So others suggested that a good measure of central tendency will be that you include all. When I am including median as a central tendency measure, then these values are not being included in the computation. Even if I will put all these values 0 and then after 28 all the values 100, even then the median will be 28. So these values are not influencing the median. When I am taking mode as a central tendency measure, then I am relying on the most frequently occurring data values and again excluding others. So many said that better is to include all the data. So what will be that? That let us compute the average of the data. So the average of the data is called mean, and more specifically arithmetic mean, because mean can be of different type, symmetric mean, harmonic mean, they are also computed, but I will focus largely on arithmetic mean. So when we will sum all these data value, say I am using the auto sum function, so the sum is 1399 And when I will divide this 1399 by the total number of observations 50, then this 27.98, which is close to 28. So in this data, the median and mean are very close and they are representative. So there are certain data sets which are called normally distributed. If you will work with that data set, you will find that mean, median and mode, they are equal. In that condition, you can use any of the measure as a measure of central tendency. But for some situations, measure of central tendency one may be good and the other may not be good. I will discuss after introducing calculations and other things. So, I have still not defined the word tendency. Tendency, we know the literal meaning of the word tendency. So, when we use central tendency, we want to convey that in any given data set, there is a central representative value and most of the data values tend to be closer or similar to that data value. So this tendency that most data clutter around the central value is called the tendency, central tendency. And when we try to quantify as a single index that what is that central value, then it is called the measure of central tendency. And generally, these are the three measures used, mean, median, mode. And the same thing is depicted here. So central tendency includes mean. Here I have written the formula. X bar is generally used for sample mean and mu is used for population mean. And this is capital uppercase Greek letter called sigma, and in statistics we do not read that sigma xi. I will read it at summation xi, where I runs from 1 to n. And look, here n is lowercase, so sample is basically a subset of the population. So this is the value of this. Suppose I consider that the population of the student includes 50 students, and let us randomly select few numbers from this. 8, 9 is already there. Let us select this value. And then I am just, this is not the real random, but I am selecting this. Am I audible? Because I am not sure whether I am connected or I have lost connection.
Yes, sir, audible.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now we have from 3 to 15, 12 randomly selected subset of this data. And suppose here we can directly compute mean also. Let us compute in this condition average. So these are the value x, x1, x2, x3, x4, x15. So what I have done, that I have added all the values x1, x2, and this is subsets, therefore this will be lowercase n. And so x1 plus 2, x2 plus xn divided by n, that is 15, is this. This is sample mean represented by x bar. And if we assume that this 50 students, the group of 50 students constitute the population or the universe of the student, and say they are PMIR first semester students attending my class, then this is the universe. And I studied just 15 students, and I said that the mean of the PMIR students' performance is 20 point something. So this is sample mean x bar and this is population mean mu. And you can see that the population mean is 27, so we are committing some error. So whenever we infer the population parameters, mu, say for example population mean, based on sample statistics. So X bar is called statistic, you can write it down. This is also mean, but this statistics, not statistics, we use singular word, statistic. So statistic is sample characteristics. So X bar is an statistic and mu is also mean, but it is called parameter. So whenever we try to infer parameter based on a statistic, then that statistic is called inferential statistics, and the third unit of this syllabus deals with that. So this is mean, another value is, another measure of central tendency is median. You can see that I have tried to depict this. So here you can see that there are three data values below this and there are three data values above it. So technically median is a positional measure which divides the whole data set into equal parts. So there are 50% data greater than that value and 50% data lying below that. And mode I have already defined. What is mode? Mode is the most frequently occurring data value in the data set. Any question up to now? Yes or no? Anyone, please? Any question? Okay. So I have already defined this. So definition of mean is that it is called average, and when we add all the sample data points and divide it by the number of the data points, so summation X divided by n, the sum of the data points divided by the number of data points is called mean. And I have already shown the computation here in this first C. But when we are required to do the calculation manually, then generally we use subgroup of data and the frequency of data occurring between that subgroup. So I will discuss how to do computation in that condition, and let me delete this for right now. So here I will create class interval and I will create the first class interval and ask you students to help me to create the next. So the first class is 0 to 4. The next class will be 5 to 9. Now, can anyone say 10 to 14? And it is taking date format, 10 to 14. And let us work with 5 class intervals only, because I have to communicate the concept 20 to 24, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Here we will write down the frequency. Suppose we have already counted and the frequency is say 8, 17, 25, 19, 12. Now, suppose we are having this type of data that there are 8 individuals who have scored between 0 to 4. Now, how can we use the formula summation x divided by n? This is the formula sample mean summation x divided by n. Because the difficulty is that we do not know whether 0 has occurred 8 times or 4 has occurred 8 times or 2 has occurred 8 times, or may be possible that 1, 2, 3 and 4, these 4 values have occurred 2 times each. So we don't know. Under this condition, we create a value called midpoint for manual calculation. And since in examination it is asked, I am teaching you. And generally, now we call this as the x value. So how we calculate midpoint? So this class is ranging from 0 to 4. 0 is called the lower limit and 4 is called the upper limit of the class. So we add lower limit, midpoint is equal to lower limit plus upper limit. I forget to put bracket here, divided by 2. So 4 plus 0 divided by 2 is equal to, so I will do this calculation numerically. So, but it is not possible because this is different. So this will be 2, 5 to 9, 14, 14 divided by 2 is 7. Then 14 plus 10, 24 divided by 2 is 12. Then 15 to 19, 15 plus 19 divided by 2 is 17. And 20 to 24 means 44 divided by 2 is 22. So, in this way, we calculate midpoint and assume that 2 has occurred 8 times, 7 has occurred 17 times, 12 has occurred 25 times, 17 has occurred 19 times, and 22 has occurred 12 times. So, this midpoint calculation is needed for calculating mean in organized or group data. And the simple way is, though the formula is this, the simple way is that we can calculate the first class midpoint, and then the size of the class we will vertically scroll 0, 5, 10, 15, there is a difference of 5. So what is the size of the class I? 5. Add I in this. So 2 plus 5 is 7, 7 plus 5 is 12, 12 plus 5 is 17, and 17 plus 5 is 22. Another simple way is that you take the difference of this. 4 minus 0 is 2. 4 minus 0 is 4. 9 minus 5 is 4. And divide this difference by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now, in the lower limit, you add this value. So 0 plus 2 is 2, 5 plus 2, 7, 10 plus 2, 12, 15 plus 2, 17, 20 plus 2, 22. So, in examination, there is no need to add and divide the lower and upper limit. We can do this type of computation simply. So, I hope that it is clear to you. Now, what is the condition that 8 has occurred? Now I am trying to reproduce some of these values here. So 8 has occurred 2 times. So 8, 8. Now 7 has occurred 17 times. So 7, copy it and it will be, where will be 17? 27. So, if we will have to sum, what we will do that 8 plus 8, then 17 plus 17 plus 17 7 times, then 25 plus 25 12 times, like this. And then we can use the same formula in this case also. But summing the same value, so summing 8 two times is equal to 8 into 2, multiplying 8 by 2. Summing 7 17 times is equal to 7 into 17. So we calculate another value which is called fx, that is the product of the frequency f and the midpoint. So here we can use formula. So fx is equal to f into x 16, and then you simply drag this. This will be the value of fx, and when we will add this value, then this will be called summation fx. And you know, summation sign is this. I am not able to show this summation fx. So in group data, you can make a note on your notebook that in group condition, this value will be summation fx, not summation x, summation fx divided by n. And n is the number of data. So how we will get n? We know that the sum of the frequencies will give us the value of total number of data. So there are 81 data values, and the sum of all these 81 data values is 1022. So I am writing it in words, summation fx and divided by summation f. This will equal to mean, and this will be the sample mean. So here we can calculate the sum of summation fx is this, divided by total number of observation this, and in this condition the mean is 12.617. Remember that when we will calculate the mean value according to this subgroup of data, it will not be exactly equal to the mean computed from the raw data, because here we know actually which data has occurred how many times. But in this condition, we assume that this value 2 has occurred 8 times, 7 has occurred 17 times, 12 has occurred 25 times, but the real case may be that 10 might have occurred 12 times or something else. So this value will be not same. But in examinations, generally we are required to do this type of computation. So I will stop here for time being to have your queries. And then I will proceed further because I have 10 minutes. Any question? And just to confirm that you are hearing anyone voice, that yes sir, audible.
Sir,
Yes.
so I have a query, like, sir, what is the significance of using the
You are not audible to me. Can you repeat?
Sir, I was saying that what is the use of using the midpoint, sir? How is the midpoint going to signify each and every class? Like in the class interval of 0 to 4, you took the mid.
Yeah.
What is the use of that midpoint, sir? How is it going to represent that interval?
I got your idea, but your question is not that much specific. I am repeating your question. You are saying that why I am using 2, not any other value,
Yes, sir.
or anything else. No, just I am repeating to have more clarity on your question. Actually, when you get data in this form,
Yes,
we
sir.
are not sure that which data has occurred how many times. But when we get data in this form, we can say that yes, sir, 2 has occurred 2 times, 1 occurred only 1 times, okay?
Yes,
And
sir.
in 0 to 9 group, 8 data values are, but when suppose we are not having this value, let let me undo, let me cut it. And I am now assuming that the midpoint of 0 to 9 will be 4.5. And why I am using, you can say that it is also a type of central tendency, it is the median value. So there are 50% values below 4.5 and 50% values above 4.5. So it is a representative data of this subset. And we are going to calculate the representative data, that is central tendency for the whole set. So in this condition, this will be 4.5 into 8, because we are assuming that 8 has occurred, 4.5, the midpoint of this class has occurred 8 times, and this is 36. Now let us do the sum of this value. I am certain that this will be different. This is 41. So what I reminded, that whenever we will do the calculation of the mean using the raw data and adding all the values, then the mean will be different. And the significance of this is now a history, that we used to do computation like this. In the era of the computational devices and software, we do not need, but somehow it has been for examination purpose, and since you asked this question, to have developed the insight how these calculations are working. For particular purpose of developing insight into the computational mechanisms and processes, we are demonstrating this group data calculation. Is it clear, or you can ask it again?
Got it, sir.
Okay, indeed, very good. I appreciate. I know that it is as simple. You are generous enough, and this is your modesty, that you are silently listening to me, and many of them are still present. I am really happy. As you all know, the simple in actual manual calculation, if the data values say either the f is very large or x is very large, or both x and f are very large, then in that condition, the manual computation may also become tedious. So to reduce this pressure, some shortcut methods were devised, and that shortcut method is nothing but reducing the value of Vx, and this is generally referred as x prime. Some textbook, if you will refer, they may use the word d or d prime. There may be any symbol. So x prime is the, let us use capital X so it will be more visible. X prime. And what is x prime? It is reduced data. How we can reduce this Ex? One way is that we can subtract a constant from this, then it will be smaller than this original value. If you want to reduce it further, then you can say, sir, divide it by a constant. So subtract something constant and divide it by some constant. So generally, Ex prime is calculated as from each Ex value, Ex minus, we have to subtract a constant, and generally we called it assumed mean. That let us that constant is likely to be the mean. So we do this. So if you will do this X minus assumed mean, then this will be lower. And then when we will divide it by a constant, so generally we choose the size of the class interval as a constant. So applying this formula, now you can ask, sir, which value to be assumed as mean? Any can be, even a value, you can assume that a value 2.5 can be mean, any value, but generally the mean will be between 2 and 22. But even if you, since you don't know, even if you will assume beyond this value, even then that formula will work. But generally, first condition is that assumed mean should be in between 2 and 22. Similarly, we take the middle value, if possible. So in this condition, since there are only 5 class intervals, so 12 is middle. But suppose there was one more class interval, say this one, then under this condition, we might have chosen 17 or 12. If we are choosing 12, then our 2 values below it and 3 values above it. When we have chosen 17, then in that condition 2 value will be greater than this and 3. So in this condition we will choose 12 as assumed mean. So what is assumed mean? Let us write it here. Assumed mean is equal to 12. And what is the size of the class? You already know. The difference 5, 10, 15, what is the size? 5. So let us do the computation. So it is X minus, so this is the value of X, and let the bracket be there. So X minus assumed mean is 12 constant, so I will directly write 12, and the size of the class I is also constant, so I will directly write divided by 5. So this is the X prime. Now it has reduced, and when I will drag the formula, then you see that earlier we were having values from 2 to 22. Now we are having very smaller values, 1, 2, minus 1, 2, like this. So the actual calculation of reduced value is done by using this formula, but in real calculation we may skip this computational step, that we can put a 0 against the assumed mean, and all the values lower than this assumed mean, 7, 2, we minus, negative, minus 1, minus 2, if other class was also there, then we can go up to minus 3. Then on the higher side, we will write 1, 2, 3 like this. And then I am deleting this formula for creating some space. Now, we will calculate fx prime. And fx prime means, rather than using the original large X value, this X prime, and this is the F into F. So this is the value. And this is when we will sum this will be the value of summation fx prime. In real calculation, manual calculation, we should carefully add this. So 16 plus 17 is 33. So we can write here as a margin note minus 33, and then 24 plus 19 is 43. And then the difference is this is 33 in negative, so 43 minus 33 is 10. So that will be easier when you are doing computation on the paper sheets. Now, if we will calculate the mean of this fx prime, then the formula will be mean is equal to fx prime divided by n. So let us do that. Is equal to fx prime divided by summation of the frequency, that is n. This is 0.123. This is the mean of the reduced value and not the actual x values, because we have done all the calculation on x prime. So how to resolve this? The simple way is do the reverse. What is the reversal process? That we have subtracted some constant value. So what was constant? That is the assumed mean. So let us add to this value 12 plus 12 this value, and then we have divided to reduce the data by 5, then multiply it by 5. This is 12.617. And earlier you did this calculation, I am doing it again, just to this, and then calculate the mean is equal to this divided by this 12.61728. So we have obtained the same value, but just try to imagine that you are doing all these not on Excel sheet as I am doing. You are doing all these using your pen and pencil and paper. Then definitely this formula will be more easier, and this formula will be written as just I am speaking. You can write that x bar or mean is equal to assumed mean AM plus summation fx prime divided by summation f into I. This is the reduced formula. So thank you very much. If you have any questions or queries, you can ask in the next class, and I am really thankful to those who stayed for such a long time to listen whatever I have shared. Though it is very simple, I know. Initially the number was a little higher, but still I can see that 29 students are there, and I assume that others might have left because of connectivity issue, not because they are not interested in listening. Thank you very much. And if you have any question and query, please do not hesitate to ask me. You can ask on the group, or if you wish, you can create a different group for this research method, and you can add the teachers who are there in the research method. Better any one of you can be the leader, because I am saying that in this group everyone is putting all the materials, so it may be difficult at the end of the day to search all the materials. So if you are having different groups, so if I am sharing, for example, I saw that Tushar sir has shared 2 statistics books, and for manual calculation, the first book that he has shared by Garrett, that is good, because that is quite old book written for that. I will also share some of the statistics books very soon in this group, or if you will create a group of research method individual group, then I can share there. But please remember to add the teachers who are in that group. Thank you very much. Please leave the class because you may have other class or you would like to take rest. If you have any question or query, you may ask. Should I end the class? Okay. Thank you everyone.